Pastor, you've always expressed how important it is for you that we memorialize the big things that God does in our church. Can you talk about that? You usually use like stones, piling up stones from the scripture as an analogy.
Yeah, the stones analogy that we use from the scripture about memorializing the things that God does is when Joshua and the children of Israel crossed over the Jordan, and the first thing God commanded them to do was pile up 12 stones to commemorate for the future generations so that when they ask about it, they could tell the story of what God had done. And I always thought that must have seemed counterintuitive. If you've been wandering in the wilderness for 40 years and you finally got into the land, I want to fight somebody. I want to take some ground. I've been waiting to get here for a long time. Now you got to stop and build a little sandcastle and you know, put some rocks on. You got to put some Legos together. I always thought, like, man, that must have, for an action-oriented leader like Joshua, that must have felt a little bit off purpose. And I feel sometimes when we do the things we do to commemorate or to celebrate, like it's a loss of productivity. Hey, we don't have time to sit around and commemorate this or to talk about that. We got real work to do. And what we're doing when we fail to capture something in a meaningful way is we reduce the shelf life of the impact of it to whoever just saw it. But if we capture it in a compelling, creative, and lasting way, then it will yield spiritual dividends for years to come. Right. So when we make a photo book of the year in review of pictures, or we make an annual report of everything God did, or when we capture the stories in a way that's meaningful to get them distributed, or when we make a video about one of our outreach partners, and then we circulate it and get it back out there in other formats. When we capture that stuff and get it out there, then we multiply the impact of it. Right. When we capture Love Week in a compelling way and tell the story of it and get it out there, and we take the time to do that correctly, then not only is our church inspired, but other churches are inspired, and God can spin that off, and we can talk about it forever. When we take the time to record a worship CD, when we take the time to make a box set of Code Orange Revival, when we take the time to put together all these different random fragments and say, how can we get this in a format that can speak to what God has done and can commemorate it, then it can last. Then it's not temporary. And I'm always looking for leaders and staff members who can elevate something, whether the series we do or the teachings that we have, elevate it to a level that you took it from a momentary experience to a long-term event where it continues to have impact. Right. So it can continue to make a difference, so we can continue to build off of it.